9.1 is officially out today, and we have the new Orochi boss. I think that's how you pronounce it, but yeah, I'm going to be taking this boss with Arcade. I am lightly boosted here just because it's a new big boss, so I wanted to try to get a cool solo. And I didn't end up needing the boost because I'm going to finish this fight with pretty good health, but Arcade is pretty decent for this boss. One of the main gimmicks is you want to have a lot of damage over time debuffs that are not bleed, and that is something that Arcade definitely has. He will place 3 shocks on his SP1, usually a poison or 2 on the SP1 as well. He also has access to the poisons just from his poisonous cloud, so there are a lot of different ways to place damage over time debuffs in this fight, and yeah, it just makes it a pretty fun time. He also has a lot of good safety mechanics for this fight, whether it be his auto block, and then the auto block also would have a steadfast built into it if your Arcade is duped, so that you can auto block her special attacks as well. And yeah, so the poison obviously helps a lot, and then you just kind of drop the special attack into her heavy attack, and then you do a nice burst of damage at the end. So he's not one of like the craziest options like Lady Death Strike or Guillotine 2099, but he definitely worked out pretty well for me. This was my 3rd attempt on the boss, and even on the first couple attempts, I obviously didn't get solos, otherwise you'd be seeing the first attempt solo. But he did do a pretty good job for me even on those first few attempts when I was still kind of learning the fight. I obviously watched a guide for this one from Simula, because he always makes really good guides for these bosses, just to know exactly what I was doing before going into it. But yeah, Arcade ended up doing a very good job for me. And another thing I guess I need to mention is some of the synergies I'm running in this fight. None of them are needed, but they do help the fight sometimes. The first one is with Black Cat, and it gives me a Fury every time I auto block, which I don't really need ever, but it's there. So, and then the one that actually is going to be useful in this fight a lot sometimes is the one with Spider Ham or Mojo. And what that one does, it gives you 5% of a bar of power anytime the opponent is knocked down or Arcade is knocked down, and it has like an 8-second cooldown or something. So what you can do with that is use your SP1 to push her to 10 of like the damage over time charges, and then if you threw it with you like very close to special 2, then after you knock her down with that first SP1, you're going to have another one immediately after to throw into her heavy attack without having to take any hits or, use any other hits getting ready for it. It also just helps you have to have less blocked hits during that transition period as well. So it's pretty nice. Again, not necessary, but it does have uses in this fight for sure. So anyway, we are going to drop the SP2 in a second, and then we trigger Violent Purge, and then we're going to gain a little bit of power, and yeah, there you saw we got to a special 1 right after, so that's cool. She charges her heavy attack right there, and then we go for it, drop the SP1, she's down to 65% health. So I guess it's worth talking about how some of the phases work, because she has 6 phases, which usually bosses have only 4, and then obviously Glycon was only 3, I think. So this is definitely the most phases they've added to a boss, which is cool. But there's not like too many differences between phases. They might change a little bit of how you want to perform the fight, but basically the first one, nothing special other than what you already know for her. But then when you get into the second one, she's going to gain an inexorable every time she throws a special attack for 1 second, and then you remove it with your heavy attack. So that's why you see me doing heavy counters after specials often, not only just to place my cloud, but also because I do want to get rid of the inexorable if I can help it, because I don't want to be in the corner all the time. I know it's going to happen a lot, but I'll try to avoid it when I can. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 is the same thing, except the inexorable lasts 5 seconds instead of 1. Just encourages you to throw heavy attacks right afterwards a bit more, and then if you're trying to go the intercept route to place passive poisons that way, then you're gonna be a bit punished for it, because you have to work on staying out of the corner a lot more. So Obviously, Arcade having access to the damage over time debuffs that he does means that I don't need to worry about forcing intercepts too much, because I don't need the passive poisons from Orochi's kit. So, anyway, with that being said, yeah, we just use the heavy attack, get rid of the inexorable as fast as possible, because there's really no downside to using heavy attack with Arcade after a special attack. You need the Poisonous Cloud anyway, so you're going to go for a special one right there, drop it, and then she's going to take a burst of damage afterwards. So, yeah, Arcade's pretty nice for this fight. So, you see me do some sidestep intercepts a lot, like I think I'm going to do right here. They're actually messed up, so bad example. But Orochi is really easy to sidestep, which is very helpful for this fight because of the fact that you want to find openings without taking block damage, because she's going to bleed or poison you through the block. So you see me sidestep a lot in this fight. Am I going to do it here? Yeah, there I do. Basically, a sidestep is just you let them dash at you, and then you dash away and light attack to where you catch their medium, because then it gives you a free opening and you didn't have to actually block. So yeah, sidestepping is very important in this fight, just because you obviously want to minimize as many blocked hits as you can, because you don't want to get bled or poisoned through the block. Arcade does not have to worry about the poison aspect of the fight, assuming you had 2 Arcade charges or Glorious Prize tokens or whatever they're called. Going into the fight, you start the quest with 3, so you should always have 2 when you're getting ready for the fight. So you activate that pre-fight, you gain poison immunity, and yeah, it's definitely minimizes the amount of damage you're taking through the block. So that's really nice. Obviously, some robots will be better at that. They can take a lot more block damage than Arcade can, because he's still going to take the bleed. But again, I just found it to be a fun option. It's not one of the best options out there, but he does really well. If you want some other advice on like what other counters you might be able to use for this fight, I'll probably be able to answer some of them in the comment section. Arcade is literally the only tech champ I've used for this fight, so I haven't had a lot of hands-on experience, but I can probably help you out with that a little bit. I also used Onslaught for this fight. He was pretty good for it on some of my earlier attempts when I was just kind of reviving my way through. Like my first attempt, Onslaught did a pretty good job. So, alright, now we're in the 4th phase. In the 4th phase, it's the same thing. Yeah, I'm saying that a lot because the fight doesn't really shift from phase to phase too much. It just has a little bit of extra difficulties you have to manage. And phase 4's specifically is her special attacks are now unblockable, which usually isn't a big deal. But again, it's another mechanic that means you need to get away from your corner as fast as often as possible, because you don't want to be in the corner and have to dex her special attacks, because the SP1, it's not that bad at dex in the corner. The SP2 is literally impossible. Like, there's no way you're dexing the SP2 in the corner. So, anyway, another fun thing about that, Arcade can block unblockable special attacks with his Steadfast and his auto block if you're awakened, so that's very cool. I don't know if it's going to happen in this fight, because I don't think I was cornered too much during this phase, and then I just bait her SP2 quite often, but it's an option if you actually need to worry about that. So, yeah, Arcade, he's just got a lot of safety nets. Doesn't have like the craziest damage for this fight, but the safety nets are 100% there, and you definitely feel them. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys are actually going to be using Arcade, but he was really fun and effective for me, so I'll take it. And yeah, this heavy counter on both of her special attacks are pretty easy. The SP2 might seem a little bit wonky, but it's really not that bad. I actually got it on like my first couple tries countering it, because I'm trying to think of what to compare it to. There's definitely like some kind of special attack you can compare it to. I think it's like Thor Ragnarok's, actually. It's very similar to Thor Ragnarok's SP2. He just does a bunch of slashes and then lunges forward, but he doesn't lunge as far forward as you think he's going to, so it actually isn't as threatening as you might think it is. So yeah, that's just how her special 2 kind of works. But yeah, we're in the 5th phase now. Only difference in this one is she has a Fury, just giving her a lot more attack, letting her kill you a lot easier. So it's just continue not getting hit. That's kind of how the 5th phase works. I don't know how I threw that into her block, Just messed it up somehow, but it's alright. Her block animation, now that I look at it, is actually really cool. It's got like the neon green color to it. I like when they've been changing like some of the block animations to different colors. Like I think Prowler's is purple and stuff. It's definitely visually attractive, so I'll take it. Go for sidestep there. Dude, every time I like call out a sidestep before I do it, it's just it's a sidestep that I actually messed up. That's crazy. Anyway, yeah, I go for a lot of sidesteps, but for some reason the only ones I decide to call out are the ones that I mess up. There's a good one. So yeah, we need a couple more charges before she goes into Violent Purge, and then we go for the special attack and her heavy attack, and then do some burst damage to her. So anyway, go for a relic right there, and then I'm going to drop the SP2 into her heavy real quick. Going to go for a heavy attack right there. Another cloud is active, and then I just need her to charge heavy. She does, and then yeah, burst of damage taken right there. And we're getting very close to the final phase, which in my opinion might be the easiest phase. I'm not even gonna lie. Like the phase 6 for some reason is kinda easy. I don't really know why, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Either way, so we have her at 30%, probably one more burst of damage, and she's gonna go into phase 6. So 8 charges right there, gonna go for a sidestep, and now I'm just trying to, I don't know what I'm trying to do, but now I'm a little bit screwed because I don't have close to a bar of power, and I need to throw a special attack into a heavy attack before she starts degenning me, because that would be bad, but luckily I got enough power. So we do the burst damage here, and then she's actually at 1%. I'm like, wait, why didn't she go into the final phase? It was just a little bit of health I didn't take off. So anyway, phase 6. For some reason, this phase is actually like the easiest one in my opinion, and that's mainly just because she can't launch an SP2. And the SP2, obviously, SP2 when you're in the corner is how you're going to often die to this fight, if it's not through damage over time in your block. So yeah, considering she can't throw an SP2 and you're in like an infinite loop of just throwing a heavy attack and her throwing an SP1, like there's not much risk left. I'm literally just doing the same exact thing the entire phase. I'm just going to drop an SP2 there for the extra damage over time, but like you can see, there's not much happening here. It's just the same exact cycle of her throwing a special, I throwing a heavy attack, and then that's literally how the fight's going to end. So yeah, we're going to build up to an SP3, finish her off with the SP3 just for strictly for style points, and then yeah, gonna go for a combo right there just to give her a bit more power, because she was getting to where she didn't have any power left to keep spamming special attacks. So I used the inexorable with her having extra combat power rate and stuff to keep her in the loop. And then yeah, we're getting close to my corner, but she's also getting close to death, so drop the SP3, too early, who cares, it's gonna be enough damage anyway. And then yeah, we're gonna drop the what is this spike ball on her, and then she's gonna die. So yeah, Arcade Solos Orochi, the newest big bad story content boss. I had a really fun time with this boss, and I hope you guys had a fun time with it too. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.